Hello everyone and welcome to our MySQL Workbench tutorial. Today I'll be guiding you through a basic introduction to MySQL Workbench. All right, but before we get into that, let's get started with some simple questions. What is a database? Right. So far we've been looking at how to design databases. Right. We've gone through definitions of what a database is, but in a more simplified form, a database is essentially an organized collection, all right, of information. Think of it like a digital filing cabinet where data is stored in a structured way. In our everyday lives, we interact with databases constantly when we check our bank account, shop online, or use social media. MySQL is one of the world's most popular database systems. The MySQL Workbench is a visual tool that helps us to work with MySQL databases more easily. MySQL Workbench is basically like a Swiss Army knife for working with databases, allowing us to do a number of things simultaneously. It allows us to create, first and foremost, create and design databases similar to how you might use a drawing program to design a floor plan. You can then use it also to write and run database commands that helps you to retrieve or update information. You can also use it to manage database users and security, controlling who can access what information. And then finally, we can use it to monitor database performance, making sure everything runs smoothly. The beauty of all of this is that it provides us with visual tools for tasks that would otherwise require memorizing complex commands. Of course, in this module, we'll be trying to make sure we get a feel of both sides where we can interact with the database using commands, as well as using some of these visual tools. Now, given that we spent some time going through the installations for MySQL Workbench at the beginning of this module, I want us to take a few moments to just make sure we have this installed. Essentially, if you search Workbench, all right, in this way, you should see MySQL Workbench over here, okay? I'm just going to proceed to demonstrate how you would launch this, all right? So essentially, it's very simple. If you click on this, it should launch, okay? So we just wait a few moments to see it launch. All right. Now, since we have this launch now, you should see this sort of home screen. All right. So I want us all to confirm that at least we can see this home screen. Okay. Now, I want us to spend some time, all right, looking at what we see in our home screen here, all right, and trying to explore the possibilities. Okay. First and foremost, at the top of the screen, you'll see MySQL connections that are saved, connections to different database servers or the same database server. All right. So what we mean is this icon here that has a dolphin at the front of a database. I hope I've identified a dolphin correctly. And then below that, you will also see MySQL models. Okay, so these are basically data representations or visual designs that have been created on this workbench. Okay, so essentially, for the entirety of our lessons, we'll most likely be focusing on just these two parts. All right, right. Now, for the connections, I would like us to think of connections like almost phone numbers that let you call different database servers or the same database service by inputting certain parameters that are unique to a given database. Okay, and the models themselves, just as we've seen, they're almost like blueprints for databases when you build them. We've had some experience coming up with conceptual and logical designs, which are blueprints at different levels in the database design process. Okay. Now, in talking about these connections, right, you can see that we have different connections. Of course, these are connections that I already have in the system here. So of course, you can always create a new connection which represents a unique sort of instance to that particular server. All right. Um, or you can think of it like you can almost say like a completely different channel, okay, to the server. All right. Now we can always create at the beginning of the whole process of starting to interact with the database server. We need to always make a connection. All right. Now the way to do that, all right, is to first identify to first click this plus sign here, right? And of course, once we click this plus sign here, there's a number of parameters, okay, that we need to pay attention to. Of course, so the first one is the host name, all right, and then we also have the port. Okay, so typically it would be the host name. You can either write, of course, local host, or you can specify the IP address, the unique IP address of your computer. This port we would leave unchanged because that is the port that identifies the channel through which you communicate to the MySQL server. Um, and then the connection name, of course, this is very important. You have to be you have to choose an appropriate name for the connection that represents what you're doing, so that you can always identify it. Okay. The username is how the system identifies us whenever we connect. Okay, how the server would identify us. So obviously, when we were setting up this whole system, we had the username as root. All right, and then for now, we can leave the password aspect. All right, we can do that later. Okay, so let's start by testing the connection. All right, so we can first let me just enter the name. So if I was to do classroom server all right, and then we test the connection, right? We can see that we have some information here. We have the host, which is the IP address, the port, the root, and then we also have it's the connection is authenticated, right? And so a connection was made. So once this is done, all right, all we essentially need to do is click OK, and now we can see that a unique connection has been created here. All right. All right. So having said that, I would like to spend a few minutes to make sure that at least we can try to replicate, okay, what I have done here. All right. So please open up your MySQL workbenches and try to also create this unique connection with the information that I've just provided here. And let me know how it goes. If you manage to go through the process successfully, please raise your hand in the chat. Potentially, you could also almost share an image of that the connection that has been made, just a screenshot into the chat. Yeah.